Hey, this is Georgie.
And Pete.
And welcome to Studio Jargon Busters, where we take studio terminology, try to put it into plain English.
That's right. In every episode, we take a commonly used studio or audio term and I try, sometimes successfully, to explain it in some sort of common English phrasing. And what are we going to be talking about here today?
Today we are talking about mixing, and I'm assuming that has something to do with cakes.
Yes, we're going to be baking a cake right here on Studio Jargon Busters. Let's go. Okay, so tell me all you know about mixing.
Like I said, cakes.
Making a cake.
I make smoothies, have to mix them.
Yep.
I'm assuming it has something to do with putting various aspects of a song or some sort of audio. I have no idea what I'm talking about. Putting them together.
Putting them together, exactly. So mixing is putting them together. So we talked about tracking, and we've talked about a bunch of other things you can do to your tracks, like reverb and delay and EQ and all of that goodness. And at the end, eventually, you're going to have to mix all of that stuff together. So you're going to have to do some mixing, which basically means balancing the volume of all of your tracks. In fact, in the very early days...
So why isn't it called balancing then?
Funnily enough, it was originally called balancing. So you used to have... You are a genius. You used to have balance engineers. So before there were mix engineers or producers or anyone that's like exactly on the dials on the sliders, then there was balance engineers because you really only had like two tracks. Yeah, wow. You had two tracks.
I'm very good at this.
You're very good at mixing it, like virtual mixing.
I could be a mix
master. You
master.
Be an air audio engineer, like an air guitarist, but you're an air mixer. Air mixer, is that like something they sell on like...
Etsy.
Buy an air mixer on Etsy. We're getting off track and I'm going to blame you. You're getting off track. So mixing is all about taking all of the tracks that you've recorded and you've recorded them and you've tried to get them at the right volume, right? So originally they would record tracks together and the balance engineer's job would be they would be listening live and they would be going, okay, we need to make sure that horn section is at the same volume as that string section because we're recording this big band and if the horns are too loud, we can't hear the strings. Right. So they're balancing the volumes and they would do that live because they would record live to tape back in those days. So they didn't have the ability that we have now, which is multi-track recording and the ability to actually go back and mix after. Right, I keep saying we're living in the future. The future is awesome. So here in the future, and even before that, so if we go sort of the next step, when we started having multi-track recording, what you would have is a big mixing desk called a console. You'd have a big console, and yep, that's where you have your faders that you can do your funkiness. And you would mix you'd record everything, and that's the classic view you see of someone with like a big mixing desk with a whole bunch of channels, and they'd be like balancing all the faders. And then the other part of mixing...
Do they do that on the fly?
No, so that's what I was talking about at the start. They do that on the fly for a live show, because obviously you need to... So live mixing, which we're not really talking about here, but if we'll just vary over there for a moment. Live mixing means that you actually mix as you're performing. So if you're at a concert and the guitarist and the bass player and the singer are all playing, you need to mix their levels so that they all sound at the right volume. But what we do with recording is we record them all and you try to get them at the right volume, but then afterwards you might go, that singer was singing too loudly, or that bass player, because bass players always play too loudly because they think they think they should be playing the lead, but they're always not. So you like got to just drop that bass level down, and then you got to push that vocalist up because vocalists are always the best people, right? Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Always want the vocals to be popping out of your mix. Anyway, so that's your volume side of it. But these days, mixing is about a lot more than just volume. So volume's probably your key thing, and about half of the time you spend on your volume and compression, which we've talked about. Compression is part of that. So you use your compressor to level out your volume, right? So you want to make sure that you've got a nice level volume in the tracks that you need to. Use your compressor, you've got your volume, everything's set. And then the next part of mixing is adding in all of those other elements. So it's about your EQ, your delay, your reverb, equalization, reverberation, delayification. All of those plugins that you put are part of your mixing. So you will grab your tracks and then you might say this needs a little bit more reverb, so you tweak in that. This needs a little bit less delay, so you tweak that back. So mixing is really just about taking your raw tracks. So when you do your tracking session, which we talked about, you've got all your raw tracks in there and then you mix them together to create your final mix, which you can then master. And that may be a topic for our future Studio Jargon Busters where we'll talk about mastering. But your mix, your final mix is basically all of your tracks,
Wait, we're
all
not
of your
talking
effects.
about mastering this time?
Not right now.
I forgot.
That's a whole nother, like that's at least one or two other nothers.
A whole nother
topic.
A
different nother topic that we need to talk about. So your mixing is basically taking your raw tracks, mixing them together with your volume faders, adding your compression, your EQ, your reverb, your delay, any other effects and any other niceties, getting your arrangement all together. Could even mean removing parts or adding a new part. So you're mixing it in. You could mute out a whole section. You go, that guitar solo was terrible. That guitarist was on crack. So we're just going to take that whole guitar solo out.
Aren't they all?
All guitarists are on crack. Where's my crack? Sorry, we're going to get like a drug reference thing on here now. So there you go. That is mixing. And do you have questions about the process?
I have questions
of
about
mixing.
the drugs. No, I think you've covered that off quite well. I keep picturing those giant boards with all the sliders.
Yeah.
I like the look of them.
Yeah,
And the Ben Folds videos and...
Yes, and we'll talk about this at a later stage, but many people don't actually use that anymore. So because we are...
It's really irrelevant now,
it's
isn't it?
It's a little bit irrelevant. It's on a screen.
It's almost analog. Like, that's the analog version of the... Like, now everything's digital.
Everything's digital. And we'll talk about this in another episode, but we will.
We talk about everything in a future episode.
Well, eventually, like, if you're watching this in, like, 2025, we'll have done them all. So there'll just be links to all of the other things. We'll have talked about every possible thing.
Literally everything.
With analog versus digital we call in the box.
If they're watching this in 2025, digital doesn't exist anymore. It's all just, mind control.
Oh, it's like the centennial, or what's that thing? The century?
I don't know, that Tom Cruise movie where he does the things with his hands.
With the glasses things. Glasses? The glass displays. We're getting way off track.
Yes,
it's a key component of this series. So mixing things together. In the box, out of the box was what I was basically saying. Out of the box is the old analog world. Mixing in the box means everything's done digitally. So as nice as those big old mixing desks are, very few people actually have them anymore. In fact, most of us do it on an iPad or an iPhone or a PC or a Mac.
Do it on a phone. Phones are like this big, and it's like...
Well, it's actually really hard to mix on a phone because I got big fat thumbs and it's hard to get your sliders in the right position.
Zoom it in. You got this.
Zip. On that note, do you think we're done?
I think we're done.
I think we were done about 3 or 4 minutes ago.
Yeah.
If you have any other comments, questions, or suggestions about mixing, if you think we've got this completely wrong, or if you have any other, we probably have any other ideas for Studio Jargon you would like busted, leave comments down below. And until next time, we will see you
next time.
Bye now.
Thanks for watching Studio Jargon Busters. To find out when new episodes drop, hit the subscribe button. To watch another episode right now, click or tap on the icon on the left, and for more recording tips, tricks and tutorials, click or tap on the right.